Hello YouTube, this is Dr. Ronald W. Satz, founder and chair of the International Society of Unified Science and president of TransPower Corporation, a commercial and custom software manufacturing company and certified systems engineering company. I work as a systems and mechanical engineer and as a theoretical physicist. Today, as in most of my weekly screencasts, we'll be discussing the reciprocal system and how it compares to the conventional theories out there. This is quite interesting today. There's an article back in actually 2013 in the Washington Post, of all places. And the headline is this quote, "Quantum mechanics is an embarrassment to science." Well, for once, the Washington Post got something right. So let's take a look at this link. And it says here, back in 2011, a survey was taken of various physicists and mathematicians at a conference on quantum physics and the nature of reality in Austria. 33 of the world's top experts were asked to list their favorite interpretation of quantum mechanics. Let's just scroll down a little bit. The result? Not a single one of the interpretations could even garner a simple majority vote. 90 years after the theory was first developed, there's still no consensus on what quantum physics actually means. Quote, "I'll go out on a limb to suggest that the results of this poll should be very embarrassing to physicists," wrote cosmologist Sean Caro. He's a college professor, by the way. I've watched some of his videos. He's a pure physicalist. He's a complete believer in conventional physics. And they say parenthetically, on the plus side theory turns out to be very, very, very accurate making. No, that's just nonsense. That's what these conventional people keep saying, but they're dead wrong. In the video below, Carol breaks down the basics of why scientists can't seem to agree on how to interpret quantum mechanics, explains why it's so critical. What is quantum mechanics really? I mean, that's like saying, what is the universe? All right, well, quantum mechanics is really just the mathematical form of the nuclear theory of the atom. Now let's go back. Let me explain something. When I was 12 years old, I began to read my father's college textbooks in physics and chemistry. Yes, I was a little precocious. At one point, I discovered this diagram of a uranium-238 isotope. It was a model, and it claimed that there were 92 electrons, 92 protons, and 146 neutrons in this structure. I said to myself then, and I still believe now, that this is an abomination. This is an impossible object. It's complete garbage. So anyway, the International Society of Unified Science, which I founded in 1971, we've been saying for many decades now that quantum mechanics is nonsense. The theory was thoroughly refuted by Dewey B. Larson in his classic work, The Case Against the Nuclear Atom. So, at the time when I was 12, I began looking for alternative theories to the nuclear atom theory. And after 2 years of hard work, by the way, my father was a college professor, and so I was working with the physics department at that time to see if there were any alternatives. They told me that, being professors, they had to teach the consensus, so they weren't going to look into it, but they did refer me to North Pacific Publishers. They had received a flyer on A Case Against the Nuclear Atom by Dewey B. Larson, so, wow, I read that, and I thought, wow, this is really logical. So then in 1965, I began actually to work with Dewey Larson on the reciprocal system of theory, and I worked with him directly until his death in 1990. And since then, I've been responsible for expanding the theory and making it fully computational. So, my reciprocal system microcosmos database covers all the properties of matter, all the major properties of matter. I could not have used quantum mechanics to do that database. It's impossible. Engineers, up until this database, engineers had to use empirical regression equations like those developed by Carl Gauss in his Chemical Properties Handbook. Now, engineers can use the reciprocal system microcosmos database to calculate the properties of matter. Now, you're wondering, well, how can you get the case against the nuclear atom? Well, I've got good news. You can read this amazing book online Here it is at scribd.com, The Case Against Nuclear Atoms. You can read this book for yourself online. And I just want to read this little quote here. Let's see if I can find it. This comes from Louis de Broglie, who was a famous physicist back in the day. He says, history shows clearly that the advances of science have always been frustrated by the tyrannical influences of certain preconceived notions which were turned into unassailable dogmas. For that reason alone, every serious scientist should periodically make a profound re-examination of his basic principles. So that's what we're calling on the scientific community to do. Please re-examine your basic principles. The nuclear atom theory and quantum mechanics are dead wrong. It's a mythology. It's been foisted on students for over 100 years now, and it's absolute rubbish. The reciprocal system is now a verified science due to my reciprocal system database. So please read this book, The Case Against the Nuclear Atom, online. Okay, so if you want the simplest possible treatment of the reciprocal system and the critique of modern physics, please read my work, The Unmysterious Universe. Got plenty of diagrams, very few equations. It just teaches the concepts step by step. Now, if you want all the mathematics, and I've got thousands of equations here in my work, it's a software ebook called Existence and Interactions, a computational treatise of the reciprocal system, the true theory of everything. So please read that. It'll take you months to go through it. 711 pages, thousands of equations, numerous diagrams. It's quite amazing, if I say so myself. And then after you finish that, you can go on to the two database modules. The first, as I've said, is the microcosmos module, which handles photons, subatoms, atoms, compounds, and alloys. And the second, of course, is for the macrocosmos, which handles all the phenomena of astrophysics and astronomy. That's galaxy clusters, galaxies, star clusters, stars, planets, moons, nebulae, minor bodies, comets, asteroids, and of course voids. So you get those two modules and you'll be able to use the reciprocal system in your practice. Now, conventional theory, you can't do this. It can't be done. So please study the reciprocal system and prove it for yourself. Thanks for your attention.